Let's make sure the stream is not orange, but green instead. Nope, that's orange. See, that's orange.
Fuego, what's that a shirt for?
This is a bookstore called Bookman's, and yeah, it's like a little new and used spot that's here in Arizona. So.
Neat.
Those are still around?
Yeah, there's one on 19th Avenue in Northern.
Okay.
So not too far from where you're living now, man.
Paper movies.
We're supposed to be live, but it's
Paper
not
movies.
showing us live.
Page
Okay.
these movie things.
Awesome. This is great.
Only a fool would.
Maybe I just never started the broadcast that time. I think maybe that was the case. Yep. Okay, we're green.
We're green?
Hey, did you watch the Kevin Smith review of it?
Can hear you fine.
You
Okay,
got shit
cool.
for that.
Did he?
Yeah.
Yeah, a
what?
guy tweeted
Because he
Spoiled
spoiled
it.
it.
Yeah.
He said throughout the video. he
and
did.
it's titled
it's
spoiler.
titled spoiler,
It's
yeah.
ridiculous.
Fuck
That's
that guy.
pretty stoops. He was like crying in the review and stuff.
Yeah.
It was very emotional, man.
Yeah, it was really funny.
I'm not surprised.
No, of course not.
That's why I love him.
He smoked before his review too.
Yeah.
So, all right, here we go. I'm gonna tweet out. We're live. That's done.
It's funny
And
because you don't
I'll
see
post.
stone people act very emotional very
Live.
often, and yet K-Smith can still muster it, man. You know, it's normally very docile and like, yeah, man.
No way, man. It makes a difference as far as processing stuff goes.
Does it?
Oh yeah.
I don't
For
know
some.
if I don't
For
know
some.
if I've ever cried while I was high.
Is it
I don't know if I have either.
recreational by you, or is it just medicinal?
It's
Just
medicinal.
medicinal here. Yeah.
Medicinal. Of
So
course.
we're not in the clear.
Yeah, not worth the trip out there, I guess.
Like
That's
California or Colorado.
Okay. Oh yeah, we'll just keep it. We'll keep it black, and then I'm gonna make
Purple?
the names green, and I'm gonna make. Yeah, I think that's good. All right. Cool. So, all right, guys. While we let a few people filter in, we're gonna say hello to the few people that are here. We've got Raiders is here. What's up,
Hey, Felix.
Felix? Good to see you again.
I hope your butt is okay.
Yeah, Felix, let us know in the chat, because Felix was on CP's Patreon stream with us last night, and he did the Death Nut Challenge. Where
Quick.
It's
He did it fast.
It's this whole package of like 4 or 5 different nuts, increasing heat level, and he was just like, we were just like, it became high school, and I was just like, do it, and
Peer
we
pressure.
basically pressured him into doing it. So I'd like to know, I'm gonna ship CP your box of Death Nuts. Cecil, tell him to get it to you. Okay, all right. So that's cool. We can work that out. Just keep a nut for yourself, CP, of each kind.
Okay.
Keep them separated.
Yeah, they
So,
keep them
all right.
separated,
We'll keep 2, because it looked like there was 3, so that way you and Emily can do it.
Oh, right.
Would she do it?
Yeah, she likes spicier stuff more than I do, so
Oh, great. So
she might
perfect.
last longer than me.
All right, sweet. So then we've got Willard Von Stiles here. Anibal is here. S. Rose is here. Seth is here. Hero Wolf is here. Just wondering, is it normal that I normally watch movies at home with my headphones, as they tend to be better than my TV speakers? I don't think there's anything wrong with that at this point.
Well, I mean, when we've done those commentaries and stuff like that, we sometimes notice additional little audio nuances in the mix that when you're just watching on a regular.
Sure.
That's true.
I mean, it's not like we have surround that we're rocking our stuff with.
I never watched a movie with headphones on.
You'll get a box. You'll get a box
You'll get
each,
a
enough
box.
for the whole gang. Oh, awesome. Okay,
Wow.
cool.
Wow.
Sweet. That's great. So then Fuego can join on the Death Nut Challenge on our side.
Death Nut.
Yep.
So it'll be like a repeat experience of the hot sauce.
Except we'll make
challenge.
sure you haven't had so many drinks that you're like, give me half a shot glass full of 6 million Scovilles and half of it
I
vodka.
paid like a motherfucker for that the next day,
I
man.
bet you
was
did.
I was in utter agony, like nothing I've ever experienced in
That
my
episode
life.
is available on the channel if you want to see it. It's
Yes.
the Wicked Hot One Chip Challenge.
There's actually lots of episodes of Fuego like being an idiot. As well.
The dancing monkey of horror show.
That should be a compliment.
Glassjaw is here. Benjamin Vandermeulen.
Am I not here? for your amusement?
Vandermeulen? I'm not sure how to say that. I hope it's okay. I'll just call you Ben. How's
There
that?
you go.
Blurry Vision is here. Robert Duell is here. What's up, Robert?
Yeah.
I still have your DVDs to get back to you, man. It's just, maybe I'll try and remember to give it back to Susie. He lent me DVDs a long time ago after meeting me once, like an absolute, like, boss.
I'm actually trying to
and
remember, Robert.
I've never gotten
do
them
you-
back to him.
Robert, are you still working at Joe's Grotto? I can't remember if that's the place I saw you at or not, man.
All right, so I think we've given enough time for people to filter in. I just wanted to
enough.
say hello to the people that are here. Let's get into this. Avengers Endgame, guys, in case you can't read directly above us, or in case you didn't see clicking on it, this is going to be all spoiler talk for Avengers Endgame. So if you don't want to have it ruined, fine. If you don't care or you have seen it, let's have some fun. What do you say? So honestly, guys, I think the best way to do this is to go chronologically normally. So, I mean, we can kind of go through the whole movie that way.
3 hours.
Yeah, I know.
Boy, was it 3 hours. But
Took us a while to do it last night, but hopefully we can do it a little more efficiently, but I don't know. We'll see. So the movie starts off with the Hawkeye scene. That
So emotional.
everyone had sort of an idea that might be, oh, this is what's going to happen to send Hawkeye over the edge.
Yeah.
That is indeed what happens. He's showing his daughter how to arch, or shoot an arrow,
Yeah.
whatever you call
Archery.
it. Archery, yeah. I mean, I was kind of making a joke. But
I forgot who his
didn't
wife
land
was.
because no one laughed, so fuck off all of you.
Linda Cardellini.
Yeah.
Would you say you missed the mark?
Professional comedian, guys. Professional comedian.
Nice.
He would tell you, but I said it first. So, but guys, yeah. So he's teaching her how to shoot an arrow appropriately, and they're about to have a nice picnic with the family, and he like kind of walks away for a second, and he turns back around, and just there's some leaves floating in the wind, but he's like, you know, asking for his daughter, calling for her.
That was such a good reveal.
Well, and CP and I talked about this a little last night. I want to get your guys' opinion on it. So, in this instance, he turns around and his daughter's gone, and then he turns around again and the rest of his family is gone.
Yeah.
In Avengers Infinity War, when people disappeared, a lot of them disappeared in front of people they loved,
Yeah.
right? Which would be worse to you? Watching your loved ones disappear into a pile of leaves, or having them just be gone when you
The
turn
Hawkeye
around?
situation.
You think that's worse?
Yeah, because like he just like 1 minute everything's happy, and then it's just, hey, where'd you go?
But
Hey,
doesn't
turns around,
that
they just
still
incur
leave room
different-
for hope where the other one doesn't?
No, because he had like I don't think he had answers. Like right there is like, what the hell is going on? Like, I mean, did he ever reach out to anyone and be like, hey, guys, what the hell happened? Like
not that we saw.
gone. Yeah, it's like my family's gone. I mean, that's like that to me. It's like the equivalent of like, well, I know. If you had a baby and you turned around and turned back and the baby's gone, you're like, whoa,
Yeah.
that's heartbreaking.
Yeah. That's
Well,
true.
it's just like a different form of devastation.
Yeah.
I would think the uncertainty aspect versus like okay, you saw just how they crumbled and
And he's on house arrest, so it's like, who's he gonna contact? You know, to get answers.
Okay.
You know.
CP, do you want to recap kind of what your thoughts were on that? No? Okay. Well, just real quick, guys.
like,
so,
no, I'm all right.
so everyone has a basis, and because Fuego and Luis haven't given their opinion, I did the review solo here. Fuego did his review over on his channel, but just real quick, so everyone knows where you guys stand on it. You know, give your overall thoughts on the movie.
Oh, I liked it. I mean, I loved it. To be honest, it was.
you liked it, you loved it. You want some
yeah.
more of it?
Well, the way I see it is like it definitely messed with my expectations. There were some things you kind of saw coming, like we theorized and all that. But they did things I didn't expect, and not only that, but like with this being like the last one, I feel even though it's 3 hours, it felt smaller.
Okay.
It felt a little bit more. I don't want to say cheaper than Infinity War, but I feel like the tones are definitely different. Like I think this one's a lot more intimate, and
Well,
I
this
don't know.
was like 3 different movies and 3 different acts.
Yeah.
I mean, part of it felt intimate. But
See, I felt like a lot of it was. I felt like this movie is very more emotional than Infinity War, and I liked it for that.
Fair.
Like I dug it. Like it's not what. If someone's like, "How are you going to end it?" I wouldn't have done this, but I liked what they did.
Okay. Fuego.
So am I the only one who has seen it twice?
I think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Okay. I liked it the first time, but honestly, the second time I found myself loving it and maybe thinking I'll go so far as to say this is the greatest Marvel movie.
Really?
Like, period. For the sheer fact that it's the payoff of so many scenarios. I can agree with you that it's much more so on the emotional side because of the fact that as opposed to doing so much jumping around to this group here and this group here and which group is going to be disserviced and stuff, like I think I had more fun with Infinity War perhaps, but this definitely just hit me with more of an emotional resonance, especially in the third act. And I don't know, man, it may not be my favorite Marvel movie, but I think it's definitely the greatest Marvel movie.
It felt very adult.
I mean, just
Okay.
it was so fulfilling for me, and
Yeah.
the fact that they jumped back to so much of the entire body of work that they put there so far. I love the whole. Well, I'm sure we'll get to it. I probably minorly spoiled that in my review by saying which Back to the Future entry this reminded me of.
Yeah. I didn't want to I didn't talk about anything beyond the story revealed in the first act.
There were a lot of reviews just like yours where they're like, there's nothing I can really talk about.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And yet I still went for 15 minutes. What can I say? It's a gift.
Well, I mean, they just kept the story so safeguarded, and I commend them in an era where so many take not quite the Pet Sematary approach, but they at least spoil way too much in their promotional process. They impressively kept this very guarded.
Dude, very close to the chest, especially when you, like, the beginning of this movie, and once that ends, you're like, holy crap, that was, like, everything we've seen before, like, trailers, TV spots, it was just that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they did such an amazing job of not spoiling or showing anything. Like, this is probably the one Marvel movie that, you know, we're all, like, we wanted to see, but, like, it was interesting knowing going in I had no idea what was going to happen whatsoever. Usually, you get a good idea, you know? Usually, with trailers, you're like, okay, this and that, but this one, I'm like, all I know, it's the end of this franchise, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, also, especially with how quickly, in the first, like, 15 minutes or so, they go through what you thought this entire movie was going to be about. They just breeze through it, and you're just like, well, shit, now what? What are they going to do?
What was it in Infinity War when Star-Lord's like, that was fast. Like that scene when Gamora, she stabs Thanos in the throat.
Oh.
And he makes that line like, oh, that was fast.
Yeah.
So that's how this 15 minutes like felt. I was like, really? That's, okay. Like, now what?
So, CP, for your, you know, overall thoughts, go ahead and let everyone know what your overall thoughts were on it.
I'm probably the closest one here to have something close to comic fatigue or superhero fatigue, and I wasn't expecting much from this. I just needed it to be sufficient, and they stuck the landing like Fuego brought up before. There's a lot of moving parts to this to stick the landing and do it right on top of just making things tie together. That's quite a feat that they accomplished, and I was thoroughly pleased. As somebody who had no expectations, I could not ask for anything. I mean, I could ask for something better.
Okay. So we all talked about the first scene. So at that point, then we get into the fallout from the first movie, essentially, which is the stuff that we largely got in the trailer.
They go cut Thanos head off.
Not yet. Jesus, where's your sense of progress? Come on. First, Iron Man and Nebula are floating playing paper football.
Okay, so we are going to go just beat by beat.
Well, not necessarily, but I wanted to talk about it because it was a fun scene.
It was a good moment.
Cecil's got the script on standby. So, all right, page 3, guys, ready?
No, I thought that was a great scene to just reintroduce us to those two characters, and the fact that Nebula is like trying to change, and the fact that he's like, "Did you have fun?" She's just like, "It was fun." I like that.
She was legit the biggest surprise for me in this movie.
Karen Gillan is
they brought
so
so
tremendous,
much more
dude.
to her character. I was beyond impressed with her performance. I genuinely was.
To take a almost like a C/D list character and make them such an important part. Like I commend them. God, I can't even say it.
One more time.
Anyway,
commend them.
Yeah, I appreciate that they did that. Like, because I dug that character a lot in the first.
I've loved that actress since Doctor Who. I mean, she was the best companion.
I forgot that she was the companion.
Yeah. Oh my God, she was. I think my favorite companion that show has had yet. Yes, even over Rose, Doctor Who heads. Anyway, so
Blondie.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, so we find out, and then we get our first introduction in this particular movie to, as I put it on CP's show, Captain Ex Machina. Captain Marvel shows up.
A lot of people have called her that. It's like in any scenario.
Well, I know a lot of people have said Deus Ex Machina, but that's literally what she might as well have been called. So she shows up out of nowhere, and again,
Thank God too.
Thank God for Tony Stark, I guess. But
yeah, with how sickly and stuff he looked when he gets rescued.
Well, he'd gone 3 weeks without eating hardly anything. Yeah. So, I mean, the crumbs left over because Nebula was cyborg, so she didn't really need much.
And we get that sad voiceover that he's leaving for Pepper, which we see in the trailers, and effective.
which apparently is a thing that he likes to do because you know he has a whole different recording by the end that he's prepared. But but anyway, so they get rescued and they get flown back to Earth where the remaining heroes are. And what's kind of weird, but threw me off and was part of what was really interesting about this movie was that I was like, oh, I'm not going to necessarily be able to predict what's exactly going to happen in this movie, because the first thing they do is like, oh, well, there's like 6 of us left. Let's go get Thanos. And I'm like, really?
Oh,
Well, they just follow Captain Marvel's lead. She's like,
Yeah.
I'm going to go kill him. And they're like, well, we're not going to let you go attempt it alone. And then, you know.
Yeah, I guess. But still, it was like, you know, whoa, hold your horses a second. Let's talk about this. Let me inform you of what's happened. But no, they're all like, let's do it. And I'm like,
Well,
Jesus, okay.
You can tell she's the
Rhodey
impulsive type.
seemed like he had, like, you know, he didn't want to do it at first.
I guess. But...
And then she has that line, she's like, well, you guys didn't have me. And they're all like, well, shit. She did.
yeah,
She did just like bring in a spaceship from like.
Where's
one of
Dino
the
when we need
cars.
him?
She is, all right.
What did you think of that whole thing, CP? Did that feel rushed to you at all?
In hindsight, no. But when it was happening, it was just like, oh, all right, this is kind of interesting third act stuff that's coming right here right off the bat.
Yeah.
But but when you take the whole journey, it does seem okay, because I don't know how far ahead you want me to get, because the after effects of what they do to Thanos is kind of plays out and helps along the story.
True.
With Lebowski, Thor Lebowski there.
I was actually calling him late career Jim Thorison, was what I was like. Yeah, where he got all fat and was wearing the sunglasses all the time. And, yeah, we're like Morrison Hotel era. Yeah.
So they go off and they go and confront Thanos, because they're able to home in on where he is, because when he snaps his fingers, a very specific energy signature shoots across the galaxy, and
then
he
also
did it
Nebula.
again. And so that's how they're able to zoom in on him, and they go and confront him, and they're like, where are the gems? Because they want to try and get the gems to reset everything. And he said, I used the stones to destroy the stones. And so they are left with nothing, and Thor very rapidly decapitates Thanos with
That was
Stormbreaker.
hard. That
And
was
they chop his
hardcore.
arm off too. I was
Yeah,
just
they
like,
chopped his
damn,
arm off,
dude.
and I was like, oh, they're not
They're
screwing
going for it.
around.
No, they weren't.
But the decapitation took me by surprise, for sure.
Yeah,
And-
I was
and-
shocked. I was like, dude, this is a child's movie. It's
Yeah,
for
and
children.
also Nebula like getting down and like looking at his head, and just the sadness that you saw. It was like a bittersweet moment, because she felt, you know, I don't know, overlooked by her father, and all of those beats that we saw in the previous stuff between them, their dynamic. But she was genuinely sad, especially with what he said to her right before he got decapitated.
Yeah.
You know, he was like apologetic about the way he treated her.
Yeah.
So-
Well, not really apologetic. He just said, perhaps I treated you too harshly.
It was as close as we could get.
Yeah,
to-
it's Thanos. I mean,
Yeah, so.
Did the decapitation catch you off guard, CP, or were you kind of expecting that the whole time?
I'm sorry, I was trying to get my phone to load up. I apologize.
No, the moment when they decapitated him, did that decapitation catch you off guard, or
Yeah.
were you expecting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because again, in the moment, like it felt like, all right, something's going to happen that he's going to wiggle away,
Yeah.
or something's going to buy us time to, for the next 2.5 hours. But it was like, oh, how's he going to get away from that one? That's interesting.
And also, where does the story go from here?
Right,
We all know-
right, exactly,
Did.
exactly.
And we all know where it went. I mean, we got
yeah.
the time jump everybody was expecting from the trailers, because they're like, it's, what's her name?
Scarlett Johansson.
Scarlett Johansson, yeah. Her
hair's
character,
different.
Black Widow, she's got different hairstyles, blah, blah, blah. There's going to be a jump in time, and,
But 5 years, that was a longer one than I thought.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was. I thought that was really clever. I dug it. I was not expecting that. I was expecting
world
like a
wouldn't-
jump, but not like that.
The world wouldn't be still hung up like that after 5 years.
I
that
think
I
it would
agree.
be.
All the piled up cars, like, in the lot of the sports stadium that they showed and stuff, I was like, I think they would have cleaned up the world at least a little bit more.
Well,
so than-
all the people who would have cleaned it up are gone.
Well,
Only those
survivors just got to work harder,
All the
man.
survivors are people who don't want to
God,
clean.
the bottom 5% get fucked again.
Well, and then Cap's back to doing his self-help stuff, sitting
Yeah.
with those people, which I think is admirable and shows, the depth of his character and everything, like you and I were talking about on the drive over. You're like,
Yeah.
he's just such a good dude.
Yeah, CP, you like that moment too, right?
oh, sure. He's a superhero in regular day-to-day life in that
Yeah.
moment.
So yeah, the 5 years later, the world is still a shambles, because apparently, even in 5 years, people haven't been able to move on.
That's some hefty survivor guilt, though, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess, but
5 years.
5 years is a long time. Like
I
a
don't know,
year,
man.
sure.
Like, if you haven't figured
2
it out by
years,
now.
maybe. But 5, it's just pushing the limits of, guys, we really got the world's got to move on at this.
Well,
some
I mean, they
point.
did
Like,
try. They did try at least with Natasha and her little group.
I mean, you'd think if they were trying to keep everything going, the next election of a president would push to put society back to normal. But maybe they don't even do that again.
Yeah,
but, I mean, it's just, there's so much you're taking on such weird faith that, like, no, I guess they wouldn't have. Like,
as a New Yorker, the aftershock of 9/11 was maybe a month and a half.
Really?
And that was a big deal here.
Mm-hmm.
So 5 years is a stretch.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really a stretch. But, you know, whatever.
But again,
Cool story, bro.
This was aliens that did it. This wasn't terrorists. So I mean,
Yeah.
maybe we're like, hey, let's not, you know, we don't want them coming back. We don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, think about the whole, you know, we got to get back to our lives because if we don't, that makes them win. We would have figured out some sort of propaganda way to put the boots on and
that is more or
yeah,
less
but-
the message that Captain America gives them in that little
Yeah.
circle discussion, right?
Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah.
if we don't actually try to better this world and do something with ourselves, what's the point of us even having survived? So,
Sure. It would have been neat if that was like a year later or something. I just feel like 5 years that's a long time.
Five
Yeah.
is a bit.
So, yeah, okay, that's enough on that.
But I mean, Tony had to have that cute little kid, so it had to be
That's
age
true.
appropriate.
That's
so
true.
It
that's
had to
why
be
they
5
flash
years for
forward
He
that.
needed something to lose.
Because that was such a great dynamic. His scenes with her just charmed the hell out of me, man. I gotta say.
Yeah.
They
Well,
had great
but
chemistry.
first, there, you know, of course, we didn't even deal with the fact that he flips out on Cap.
Which was a
because
great scene.
They
Yeah.
couldn't, you know, come to terms before Infinity War, and, you know, now look what happened. And
Yeah.
Tony, of course, collapses in his state. But yeah, so 5 years later, they you know, everyone's doing their own thing, and how does it even? Oh, the inciting incident is Ant-Man showing up. Yeah.
A rat releasing him, which I was just like, really?
I know that. I was like, this is how he
Random
gets
rat
out.
saves the universe.
What took you so long? 5 years? Come on.
Yeah. So he comes out and he shows up at Avengers Mansion eventually, saying, you know, hey, you know, you guys had 5 years pass, but I only had, you know, 5 hours pass.
Yeah.
So let's figure this out and let's build ourselves a machine where we can go into the microverse and pop out at another time, and you know,
Time heist.
Yes.
Yeah.
which is so funny.
Yeah.
and then, well, at first they're
He's
like
all
a
about
time
the heist
machine,
every
and he's
damn
like,
time.
no, just okay, yeah, it's a time machine. And CP pointed out last night too that Paul Rudd got a writing credit, so it was. I'm curious which of his lines, you know,
That he wrote?
it feels like there are some lines that you could point to and be like, that feels very Paul Rudd, even with some other characters. So
That's America's ass.
that was one of them. So they basically decide to try and do this time machine thing, and they go and approach Tony to build
First,
it.
Don't they go to what's his name? They go to Hulk.
No, they go to Hulk after Tony.
After
turns
Tony
him
says
down.
no, yeah. So they go to Tony, and Tony has a daughter and has been with Pepper for 5 years now, and so
He's happy. He's actually moved on better than pretty much anybody from what it looks like.
and so they you know, and they drop a hint too that Tony has made a suit for Pepper. Because the
the one
little
with the
girl's
daughter's
wearing
wearing
it, and he's just like, "That's a gift for mommy," you know.
Her mother doesn't wear anything. I
Yeah,
make
she
for
doesn't
her
wear
anyway.
anything I give her. But yeah, so they basically ask Tony for help, and he's like, "No, I'm not going to risk all this stuff, and you know, plus it would likely kill all of you. You know, that's no one knows how to do this." And so then they go to the Hulk, and it turns out that the Hulk has made himself Professor Hulk since. You know, the 5-year jump,
Which I know a lot of people had a problem with that, but I loved it.
I loved
was
it too. I
very
love
entertained
Professor
by
I
it.
thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
Very comical.
Yeah, and it just shows how much more comedy Ruffalo brings to the role compared to, I mean, Bana and, what's his name? From,
Norton, who's
yeah,
super
and
serious,
Norton,
yeah. Yeah, no, I thought Ruffalo Hulk was pretty funny. He was noticeably smaller than even his other
And less
Avengers 2014 version.
and very less green.
Yeah,
They had almost borderline on Grey Hulk.
Yeah,
And I thought
that's
it was
what it really.
interesting.
a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, they talk to him, and then there's a slapsticky taking a picture, fans
with
taking a
kids.
picture scene.
Do you want to take a picture with me? I'm Ant-Man.
That felt like a very Paul Ruddy thing, that moment.
Take the goddamn phone. But yeah, so that was kind of funny, but I don't know. Did the Hulk? effects pass for you guys the whole time, or was it?
I
felt
the
like
facial
it was
stuff looked better than I was
borderline.
anticipating, but like the framing and the rest of him, not so much. All
He
the
looked,
time.
yeah. I don't think the CG on the Hulk was all that great compared to the previous movies.
I actually don't even know if I like the Thanos look as much in this.
I thought the Thanos look was better towards the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
When we saw him earlier, he didn't look as good to me either.
Where he was in like the regular people clothes and stuff in the weird garden place, I was like, I don't know.
Well, I wonder if that's
Yeah.
because they had to save that chunk of money for the end.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know that they had to save any chunk of money for this movie.
No, they were willing to just skeet out all the money necessary to make this as absolutely
again,
amazing.
on salary
But it
alone,
felt-
right?
Yeah, but it felt small. Like it felt like they didn't need like too much green screen
Well,
for a lot of things.
Oh my god,
I
are
think
you
the
kidding?
small
Well,
aspect though that
ending. Like I know that,
yeah.
but
Well, I mean, I feel like the small aspects that you're mentioning is the fact that I feel like characters were given more dramatic weight. They were given longer scenes with just like a couple people talking
Yeah.
to each other and stuff. Like even the Black Widow cap scene before Paul Rudd shows up, and I
Well,
mean
I didn't
stuff
think-
like that.
this movie didn't have that much action, in my opinion.
Not till the end.
Not till
Yeah.
towards the end.
Yeah,
I
which
mean,
I
there
mean
was some.
no, there was like small, but I'm saying like for a comic book film, for being 3 hours, like I was amazed at how like they didn't really go like, hey, now an action beat, now an action beat, now an action beat. It's like, no, we don't need to do that.
Well, they had action beats, but they were used as more background during the
Yeah.
heist stuff. Like it took place during the 2014 Avengers, where the Chitauri are invading New York,
one bit did,
and so
yeah.
all that stuff is going on kind of around them at times.
Yeah.
and
Well,
then
yeah,
other
I'm saying,
times
like,
they just
off-
happen to
it's
be in
off-screen.
like a demolished part of the city where nothing is still going
Yeah.
on.
Well, I mean, I would say the first act is drama, pretty much straight up drama. Second act is pretty much comedy, and then the third act is where it finally turns into the action movie a lot of people
Superhero,
were expecting.
epic,
And
yeah.
I've seen some people criticize the pacing. They feel like the beginning of this movie is boring and it's too slow, takes too much time to develop and actually get stuff going. But I liked that slow ascension of piecing things together. I thought it was effective pacing personally, especially upon the second viewing.
Yeah.
It like worked a lot better for me.
CP, what did you think of the whole time heist reveal? And did you feel that it was a silly direction for the movie, or were you on board for it?
I was on board with. I mean, again, I don't have as much invested in this, so like, you have to think this is the grand junction of everything that they've done.
Yeah.
So if you're willing to accept anything in Ant-Man to begin with, or Guardians, like at this
Thor.
point, like what can really surprise? Yeah, Thor, even better point. So like, sure, okay, of course they can. I mean, I was. It's nothing like incredibly out there.
Yeah.
We've already broken that wall down.
Yeah, the suspension of disbelief has been in
Sure.
place for quite a while in this franchise.
Yeah,
film,
yeah.
So I
I
mean,
mean, once you get to the point where it's like you see Natasha giving Rocket orders,
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay, anything
Oh,
goes.
cool, the tree talks. Okay. Yeah. All right.
it's between him and a tree.
So they basically decide to execute the time heist after a couple of slapsticky things, and Iron Man has his sort of revelation, realizing he can build it.
Very effective scene with him deciding to even take any effort at it to begin with when he
Yeah.
sees the photo of him and the kid, and that's what just got the gears turning in his head. He's like, God damn it.
Right? He did not want to do this at all. He's like,
No, he didn't.
nope, my life's good.
My
I
life
moved
is
on,
actually
everything's
better
great.
now.
And then he saw that photo and he's like,
And that's where I did mention yesterday that I really liked Iron Man's acting, especially in that scene where he was just sort of building the thing. He's like, all right, let's do like an inverted helix, and just
Yeah.
we'll do this and that, and let's just see what happens.
like,
and then
not
it's
trying
like
to do it.
model okay, and he's just like drops to his seat, and he's just like, oh my god, I think I just invented time travel.
Well, and
It's
that's
so
another
cool.
thing that I say, this is the culmination, because I feel like the acting for characters like, Tony and for Cap was the strongest in this movie of pretty much any of the movies. It was, they were given the most heavy lifting to deal with based on the scenarios in place, and then, I mean, they were also some of the funniest beats of any of the movies as well, so success there, I'd say.
yeah.
So the heist is they have to go to various points throughout Avengers, Marvel MCU history and grab the stones at points where they know they are. And, very conveniently, they send Nat and Hawkeye off to get the Soul Stone because that's the only one they sent 2 people to. And they just happen to need to sacrifice
Thank
someone.
goodness. Thank goodness they sent 2, huh?
Yeah, I know, right?
But the
It's
problem
a
is...
Rogue One. It's a suicide mission.
the problem that I pointed out was that they needed the point of that stone is you have to sacrifice the thing you love,
Yeah.
and neither of them did that. they both tried to sacrifice themselves. So
Yeah, I
unless
thought
they're
that
the
they
most
kinda-
vain characters in the Marvel universe,
Well, no. Well, I think.
no, because she kicks off. He's trying to save her. She
That's
sacrifices herself. He doesn't do it. Thanos throws Gamora off.
But like they know, like I don't think. I think you can do that. I think that's like if you.
Why?
Well, they
You
did-
have to
they-
sacrifice
they
the thing
just
you
don't
love
do
the
that.
most.
Yeah, you like love your life, but you're willing to sacrifice this to help everyone else, right? Like,
Oh, that's a stretch. But okay.
Well, there's
All right,
a lot of
Stan
things
Lee
that we
working for the Nobel
stretch. I
Prize.
mean, honestly, all of the timeline jargon that we get in this
doesn't
one of
really
the-
pay off.
That's one of the biggest things. I feel like they left some loose ends.
CP
Yes.
loved that
Loki
timeline
bit.
jargon, the
Well, I mean-
the time movies and stuff that they mentioned.
I love.
Oh, yeah.
No, the
Time after
references-
time,
I'm a geek-
yo.
No, I'm talking
Malcolm
about.
McDowell.
You're
that
talking
shit.
about like when the Ancient One explains to Bruce like this. And
Yep,
this and
about
that.
how things can splinter and
Yeah,
whatnot.
and then he's
I
like,
honestly,
"Well, if we do it like this, it won't happen." But then there's
If we
certain
bring the
little-
stones
Yeah.
back,
But
to
there's
the
certain
exact
loopholes,
moment.
like because
There
there
are-
were some things I was like,
that's the kind of loose
okay.
ends I was saying they
Yeah.
left. Loki taking, the Tesseract, is that what
the
it's called?
cosmic
Yeah.
cube, but yeah.
And also the fact that they killed another timeline Gamora in the timeline now, and I don't know. I just felt
Well,
like,
they didn't kill her. They didn't show her fade to dust. She's the only one they didn't show fade to dust in that whole army. So she's still out there, technically.
Okay,
That's
that-
why Star-Lord was looking at
Nebula
the
was
thing
the
of
one
her.
that I meant, because
Oh,
remember
Nebula,
there's
yeah.
two Nebulas.
Yeah.
I get their names mixed up sometimes.
No,
but-
they destroyed the bad one, didn't they?
yeah,
well,
they shot.
that's the
one.
thing. How does that affect an earlier bit of your timeline?
That's what
if
they
you kill
explained. No,
yourself
that's what
in
they
a-
explained in that scene when they mentioned all those time movies.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, it's not like in those movies where if you destroy the person in the past, it affects you, because
enough.
that's a different universe now. You have still
Rick and
lived
Morty.
your universe
I
life,
guess so, yeah.
you still exist.
C-137.
It's just that spins off into another timeline.
C-137, man.
But the problem is, another one, is that Thor took Mjolnir right before the denouement of Thor the Dark World.
Yeah.
So now he doesn't have Mjolnir to finish that movie.
So we talked about this earlier today.
was a selfish
Captain
move.
America probably brought it back when he was returning all the stones.
Okay. Because he did have Mjolnir with him, didn't he?
Yeah, he did take them.
Okay.
He did take
Okay.
'em. You know,
all right.
that's a good point because I was thinking about. I'm like, what happened to the hammer?
Yeah.
But
Okay, so
yeah,
he
he
did
probably
take
returned
Mjolnir
it.
with him. Okay, I forgot.
See, I wish they.
I guess
I hope they do
convenient
that
explanation once again, right?
But still, how
No,
does
it
he
makes
return the
sense.
Soul
Yeah,
Stone?
I need a map.
That's a big one.
'Cause
How
I-
does he? Yeah.
Yeah, like how cool would that confrontation have been? Cap goes to
And
see
Red
Red Skull to
Yeah.
give him the Soul Stone. Like,
That's a whole movie right there.
it is. It really
Captain
is.
America movie.
Captain
we
America
won't
returning
see.
the stones would be its own movie
Yeah.
for real. Like,
Because he said it's like they asked, they're like, how long is it gonna take? Him? It's like however long he needs. For us, it's like 5 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, so the stuff where they're trying to get the soul stone, right? That's
Yeah.
the sacrifice
Yeah.
stone. That was obviously super emotional heavy, but
That was
I
a
mean,
good played
it
out
was all
scene.
just cute, fun Back to the Future 2 beats and
For the rest
stuff
of
in
it,
New
yeah.
York, which was especially funny, like where we see Crossbones and all those Hydra people in the elevator. And
Oh,
he's
the
like,
Hail Hydra.
Hail
in the
Hydra was
elevator,
funny
that
as hell,
awesome.
did you
man.
think of Secret Empire?
well,
And he said that line.
oh yeah, but I like that Robert Redford came back.
Yeah, they
and
brought
then-
like everybody back
Yeah.
for this, even if it was only just a very brief cameo
Yep.
with no dialogue. Like,
yeah, Natalie Portman.
Another laugh line was when Hulk had to go back and act like Hulk. So
Oh,
he
he's trying to
he
smash
smash
things.
things.
Up the car
again.
He did
But
not
then they
have the
actually-
same ferocity
They
and
had the
motivation.
same humor from Avengers when I thought they were going to show the Loki getting pounded from that other angle,
Yeah.
but instead we just got Hulk hates stairs. And
I
so-
found Loki. That bit was great, man. The
Yeah.
cap fight against each
well, so
other.
that's
I thought that
the
was a lot
idea
of
is
fun.
that Loki disappears with the Tesseract, and that's what the TV show is going to be about.
That's, well,
That's-
that makes
that's the
sense.
guess.
Some
Yeah.
weird spin-off adventure for him there.
But the Black Widow movie they're about to film, that's got to be a prequel, right?
I think it's
Well, it
definitely
has to be
it has to be
because
a
she's
prequel.
dead.
So,
Although there is a theory that people are putting out that both Black Widow and Gamora are in the Time Stone, and that there's going to be some sort of beat later on in movies in the future where they just try to rescue them from the soul or from the Soul Stone or whatever. it is.
oh,
because
yeah,
like
I
the
don't know.
person who sacrificed, like they're trapped in the stone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need
Maybe.
a roadmap.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
I'm the same way. This is theories I've heard from other people.
but that one Gamora is technically still out there. They did not show
Yeah.
her get dusted.
Well, yeah, the other Gamora.
Yeah,
Gamora,
the
Well,
the
and
new
that's
one.
why Quill was looking for her at the very
Yeah,
end. He was
searching.
searching the universe for her.
That's a good little wrap around.
So yeah, so then
You
the
better reach around.
Yeah, I was gonna reach around for Peter.
so they lose the stone, but there's a real fun fight between the Captain Americas, where they talk about America's ass a little bit more, and he tells the other one that Bucky's still alive.
Yeah.
I can go all day. Ugh, I know.
That was fun. Like, he used everything. And
they called back to lines.
Yeah.
Like, that's what's great about this movie. They called back to characters, to lines, I mean, everything.
And that's where I've seen some people say, because I've had friends even at like work and stuff ask me, they're like, so if I haven't like watched a lot of these movies, should I go see this? And I'm like, I don't know if you're gonna get anywhere near as much out of it.
So here's a fun little experiment I did with Emily. Emily, I only showed her Avengers, Age of Ultron, Infinity War, and then we went right to Endgame. So there was moments where like there'd be applause breaks, like on your left, there's a big applause for that. And she leans over, she goes, "Is this a big deal?" I'm like, "Yeah, it kind of is." Like, it's hard. Like, you know, she wasn't completely lost, but you know, there was times where if there were no reaction, if it weren't for the reaction, she wouldn't know it was a big deal.
Well, even the callback at the end with the little girl when she said she wants a cheeseburger, and
Iron Man.
That's what Tony wanted when he escaped.
When he escaped, I had forgotten about that.
No, the one that's true, because like it's funny with the other Marvel movies that have come out. You know, people are like, do I need to see Winter Soldier to watch Guardians of the Galaxy? And you're like, no. But
that's
with
where there's some that are
Endgame,
self-contained.
it's
like you need to watch all 22.
You kind of need to watch all of them now.
Well, I mean, Ant-Man is very self-contained. Guardians is very self-contained. But the sequels too.
I'll step away for a second. Ugh, my allergies.
Yeah, all of those sequels, especially like if you're watching like the Ragnarok. Well, actually, I don't know. I think Ragnarok is actually pretty decent as a standalone.
But you know what? Ragnarok for this one for Meek and the other
Can you start with Civil War and then work from there? Because
I think you could.
I mean, I guess I would say start with Age of Ultron.
I'm not so big on Age of Ultron, but it does sow the seeds of their like descent.
That and Iron Man 2 are two of my least favorite Marvel movies.
Oh, you didn't like
I don't like Iron Man 2 or 3 very much, honestly.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan.
I didn't like Captain Marvel.
I didn't like Captain Marvel very much either. I thought Captain Marvel was actually more interesting in the sparing.
You're a white 40-year-old male almost.
I'm almost 40.
Your opinion doesn't count.
Your opinion doesn't matter.
Yeah. Fuck you.
I liked her sexy punk rocker short haircut. I thought that was cool.
You want to hear something?
Punk rocker, huh?
So I read
I could say punk rocker. I could say, you know, other things
that
are more politically
rhymes
incorrect.
with thespian?
You want to hear something kind of funny?
What?
So, like, I read an article where someone's like, Avengers Endgame has, like, an openly gay character in it. And at first I was like, well, I know her hair was short. I go, but there was nothing about it that made her seem gay. And then when they talk about it, they talk about a scene that happened in the like beginning of the movie.
Because it was the Russo.
And I was like,
the Russo brothers.
yeah, it was just, and I was like, oh. But yeah, I was
In
like,
the
wait.
support group, the guy, it's a line in passing. The guy says, my boyfriend or something.
Yeah.
It was just a little bullshit line.
Yeah, I was.
You know that was one of the directors.
I was on a
CP.
date with him. Yeah, that was Joe Russo.
Yeah, one of the Russos.
Yeah.
But no, when I saw the article, I was like, why are they like? I don't think Captain Marvel was gay. She just has short hair. And then I read, I'm like, oh fuck.
Oh.
They're talking about someone else.
That makes more.
And then I was like, dude, it'd be cool if Captain Marvel was gay.
So let's talk about a couple of quick things. What did we think of Fat Thor?
I did not like that.
I loved it.
I thought it was funny at first, but the joke wore itself out.
I didn't like it because I felt Thor as a character has gone through so many different changes because so many different people have taken on this character that like we've seen
the comics. You mean?
No, like in the movies. And we've seen the ups and downs, and I felt like, you know, with Ragnarok we saw, okay, here's a more jokey, funny Thor. And then you get to Infinity War and you see like the weight of everything that's happened. You see how it's like bugged him.
He had some of the heaviest lifting in
and then you know, at the beginning of Endgame with where he's at, you're like, oh. And then 5 years later where he's at, I'm like, I understand that. I liked how he was feeling, the emotions. I liked that he had kind of given up. I didn't like that they made him like a jokey kind of like, oh, look at me, I'm beer belly and a long beard. I play video games and yell at kids now. It's like, dude, you went through kind of
funny.
Thor abides, as Ezra.
Yeah, and then and then obviously like the obvious joke was the whole like Lebowski thing because like when you saw him immediately you thought, oh, he looks like the Lebowski, and then
somebody says it
Tony
right
makes
on the
joke,
nose.
and I don't know. I just
He was
feel
still
like,
toned too.
huh? Oh, well.
I like that he was still like he's fat, but he was still toned. Like I wouldn't mind looking like that.
As Guardian, but I didn't like that. I mean, I like that he felt guilt You know,
Right, and that's the after effects of that.
Yeah,
Sure.
but I didn't like what they had done with him.
I know there was a lot of people that thought, like, for end fight, like, he was gonna get skinnied up. Or
That's
whatever.
what I was hoping
But the fact
for,
that
man.
they went
Lightning
for
hit,
it,
it
they
was
went
expecting,
for it,
yeah.
dude. They kept him like tubby the whole time. Although I really dug his beard, his like braided beard.
He
look
won't
that
be
he
by
had
the
going
time
down.
Guardians comes out
Well,
and
of
he's
course.
in it. Yeah.
Yeah,
If he's in it.
because he's gonna be in Guardians 3. I definitely think
think
it's
so?
out. Oh yeah,
That's
oh,
what that was the setup. Yeah.
Well, I
You
mean,
can't lose Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor in one fell swoop. You have to have some sort of
I always knew
transition.
Thor was gonna stick around, but I'm sure he's gonna pop up. I don't know if he would be like a big part of it.
I mean, he is a big time celestial character too, so
Yeah.
it makes sense that he's out there.
It just really depends how much Hemsworth wants to continue doing the role. I think that's what will
Yeah.
inevitably dictate. Chris
Well, he
Evans
wanted to
had
do it in a more fun capacity. That's what he said. He was about to give up Thor until Taika Waititi told him how fun Thor Ragnarok was going to be, and so he's like, "Oh, if it's going to be like this, I'll stick around." So I imagine he migrated over to Guardians to keep that sort of spirit,
Yeah.
Yeah,
to keep it fun for himself.
Well, and he had fun in this movie. He's hamming it up. He was.
Yeah.
He was. I mean, maybe if you didn't like his appearance, did you at least find a lot of his beats funny enough?
I mean,
Because
I
thought Hemsworth.
yeah,
it's like
he
he
was-
keeps showing
He
how
was
great he is a
funny.
comedian.
Like I've always, he is a funny guy. I just felt after Infinity War, in the beginning of Endgame, like where he went. I don't know.
This was reversion for you.
Yeah,
obviously.
it's like, why are you making him jokey? Like he's really hurting here. He's upset. Like this is, I don't know.
See, somebody who's normally snappy like that is Tony Stark, but in this movie he's got the emotional arc. So like to kind of pick up the slack, I feel like you kind of have to put some of the comedic pressure, so to speak, on somebody else.
Yeah.
What happened? What'd I do?
No, I accidentally kicked someone. So let's keep going though. They retrieve the stones, and even though one of them botches it up, and so they have to go further back in order to get the cosmic cube even earlier, and they see an even younger Michael Douglas and grab some extra Pym particles.
That was cool.
And then we also see that Nebula is connected to herself, which is, I thought that was a stupid plot device, even though it was a necessary one.
Really?
Yeah, I thought that was silly. Why would she be connected to herself across time? That doesn't make sense.
Because they're computers. Same.
So what?
I don't know. Same. What's the computer word? Processors.
So what?
Operating
If you have
systems.
two
I
clone
don't know.
processors next to each other, it doesn't mean you can.
Dude, she was on the
Share
same
memory.
Wi-Fi signal. So
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
okay.
I don't know.
So dumb.
Well, I mean, I
Piggybacking
have to
off
say
each
though,
other.
when they went further back, and Tony has that scene with his father, I
Yeah.
thought that was a really emotional scene. In all
Yeah.
honesty, and
Yes.
and the dad's just like, "Why are you hugging me? What the hell is going
It was
on?"
a
and
weird
stuff.
closure thing.
Yeah,
Something Tony never got.
but also new perspective for him being a father at that point himself, and looking back and the compare and contrast. I don't know. I thought it was a very very well done scene.
And you get that from Thor too.
Oh,
He gets
with his mom.
yeah.
Chris Bethel asked, where was Colby Smulders in the movie? She was in the credits, but I didn't see her. She was at the funeral.
Yeah.
Everyone that you didn't see was at the funeral. Although, who do any of you guys know who that one kid standing alone
Kid
was?
from
Iron
Iron
Man
Man
3.
3.
The little kid.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Who the fuck would have known that?
Well, I only knew that
They
because
did.
they
Yeah.
well, I only
Did
knew
you know when watching, or did you look it
No,
up afterwards?
no, I knew before because there was an article saying he was going to come back, and everyone was like, "He's going to be the new Iron Man."
don't even remember the
He's
kid
going
in
to be the
Iron
new
Man 3,
Iron Man, and then
Iron Man 3 is kind of
that
forgettable. for me.
moment because the camera really focuses, and I was like,
I
"Who the hell
literally
is
don't
that
remember
kid?"
a
And then
kid in Iron Man 3.
remember you
Dude, it's like the beginning of The Predator. It's very similar.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I think it might be the same kid.
I don't remember.
I honestly do. Shane Black did both movies.
Tremblay or
Yeah, very good point. Yeah.
All right, so they got the stones, and luckily, the whole bullshit about the only kind of thing that can contain all the stones has to be forged on this distant planet. Apparently, all they needed was Stark tech
Yeah.
in order to build a gauntlet to contain the gems.
Yeah.
So that was a bullshit plot hole right there.
Oh,
I mean,
so my buddy Luke Razorwire Reviews brought it up to me this morning. He watched us last. Oh, he was supposed to be with us last night, and he said part of that was he's got what's the term he used? Like by the time we're at Endgame, his tech is a lot more than Stark tech. He's got all this weird intergalactic shit going on with.
yeah,
his-
but still, they said
5
the
years
only
of-
place in the universe that could forge something powerful enough to contain the stones was on that one place with the dying star.
And that's where little homie from Game of Thrones was, right?
Yeah.
He played the giant.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with you, but apparently there's a explanation for why he's able to
bullshit.
do that.
It's an ancient prophecy.
So nonetheless, they build it, and they decide that the Hulk is the only one strong enough to do it. So the Hulk puts it on, and he does snap. And but while he does, it turns out that fake Nebula brings Thanos and his entire warship up through the time portal.
Which I will say, when we did our review for Infinity War, and I was like, "There's no way Thanos is gonna be the big bad. How are they gonna do it?" They surprised me.
Yeah,
Making it past Thanos, like, you know, I was like, okay, like,
Also
shit, man.
Well, if we're talking about time travel, then sure,
Yeah,
past
because like I
Thanos,
was like,
sure.
once they, you know, take him out in the beginning, it's like, okay, so like how, like, who's gonna be the big bad, like, and then it's Thanos from the past.
And also Thanos from the past, who has the information and knowledge that he succeeds if he obtains. So, yeah.
But I think that can make a guy, you know, a little lax too.
Well, also,
I say, well, obviously he did.
Yeah.
So happened.
well, yeah, as everything turns out, for
He
sure.
wasn't as prepared.
So yeah, he snaps, and basically they see that there are more birds outside than there were before, and they get a phone call from Hawkeye's wife, but he doesn't even get a chance to answer it before Thanos' ship rains fire and destroys the entire Avengers complex.
Thank
right there.
God, no one died.
Yeah, not a single person dies in this shower of missiles.
I'm glad no one died, but when they showed Ant-Man, I was like, he's dead.
Yeah, there's no way. He didn't have any suit on.
Yeah,
or
I was like,
anything.
there's no way he survived that because Thanos just. I thought that
wrecks
was
the
the
place,
end. I was
man.
like, holy crap, someone's gonna have to go back in time to fix this. Because Thanos just showed up and just rained hellfire on that facility, man. He took them out.
But no, and then none of them got
And
taken out.
no one died. Yeah, he took out that building.
So the gauntlet drops down into the sewer, and Hawkeye takes it for a run, while some of the Chitauri from the first Avengers movie start chasing him through the sewers.
Which I have to chime in and say, since we haven't addressed it yet, this is the best and the most interesting I've seen Hawkeye portray
absolutely.
in like anything they've had that character.
Yeah, the mohawk and the sleeve.
No, he was badass, and he actually
He's
had
killing
scenes of
Japanese people.
emotional depth to chew on. You know, I mean, it was pretty
Yeah, he was
legitimate
dope.
from the opening to, you know, when he's killing people as the Ronin or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah,
And,
even though they never call him Ronin.
yeah.
Those were dodo birds. Professor Hulk brought back all life on Earth ever. No, I'm pretty sure that's not the case. Dodo birds were more like flamingos, if I recall. But,
That's funny.
also dead
plus, that
long
would mean
before.
dinosaurs, and whoops. So let's continue on. So they take the gauntlet away, and Thanos and his army are like basically there. Although Thanos comes down to Earth and starts to fight Captain America first, while everyone else is trying to get their hands on the gauntlet to, I don't know, get the stones back before they get into Thanos' hands.
Well, it's the three-person fight there, right? Don't
Thor, Cap, and Iron Man.
and
Yeah.
Iron, I mean, they all take turns trying to fight him, and
Yeah.
they like jump on him together a couple times, and they're just not succeeding.
No, and so Cap is about, you know, his shield's busted just from the fight, and he's, you know, he basically looks at his picture of Peggy and cinches up his half shield and is about to fight when all of a sudden we get the first big, you know, joyous moment of on your left, you know, and then
Cavalry's coming.
yeah, then you just see a bunch of Doctor Strange holes open
Oh
up.
no, we gotta. Oh, okay. I'm trying to think.
He's like trying to remember.
I'm trying to remember because like, don't they go after Captain Marvel? Doesn't she show up before all that?
No,
stuff?
she
No,
rings
she
down
shows
at
up
like
in the-
9/11.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 She's again the Ex Machina, so
That's,
she doesn't come
that's
until
where
later.
they were really
Well,
just
no. Okay,
boasting
now I know
the
what
extent
I'm
of
saying.
her
There's
power.
the cool shot, the moment where before they all show up, when Cap is willing to take on this whole entire army.
Oh yeah.
That great
Yeah.
shot of like you see every creature, all the ships, everything.
Because
and
all the
then-
Thanos backup is arriving.
And then Cap just like walks up and just standing there like solo, and I was like,
And you're like,
oh,
this
is
character's
so
so
badass. and then you hear Cap.
On your
and
left.
it's
On your
Sam
left.
on the
And so on your left, obviously, like CP said earlier, a big reference to was that Winter Soldier,
Soldier,
right?
yeah.
And so all of a sudden, all of the disappeared heroes start pouring through the Doctor Strange holes.
pretty much
Because
pretty
Hulk,
much the whole MCU.
Hulk did succeed, but they all had to assemble. And speaking of which, we finally,
thank God.
4 movies in, got Avengers. assemble. Like,
Yeah.
and I was like, yes,
Some
bitch.
choice lines throughout. This
I wish he
movie,
had
man.
screamed assemble, but it still worked.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, I was hoping for him to scream, but it
Yeah.
was still like kind of nice to.
CP, did you know that Avengers Assemble is the call from the comics?
No, but I've heard about it for however long the movies have been out.
Oh, okay, yeah,
For-
because they almost said it. What, at the end of Age of Ultron,
Yeah, he's
wasn't
like,
it?
Avengers.
Yeah.
And they-
In Europe, it's called Avengers Assemble. So like I'm familiar with it. I didn't have a connection to the comic book
Yeah. Well,
universe.
and this is where I have to tell you guys about a hilarious moment that happened. So since I saw it twice, I saw it originally on Thursday night, and it was a last-minute decision to see it. It wasn't in IMAX. It was in small theater, 6:30 at night, and the crowd reaction was good, you know. But when I saw it the second time last night in the IMAX, there was so much more cheering and ranting and raving and all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, this is the hardcore nerd crowd who knew it was filmed in IMAX, who knew this was the best place to see it. There's much more serious fans. But when the cavalry starts coming, when that beat goes down, this dude a couple seats down from me, he's like, "This is my life!" And I laughed. I just couldn't help but laugh because, yeah, for a lot of people, it's not quite my life. I'm not that adamant about Marvel shit, but it's like the reaction they were going for, and if they got that out of their fans, I mean, I feel like the film was very much a success for that.
Yeah.
So,
Dude, when Giant Man fucking fisted down that whatever the
stomped
hell
on
those
it.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, from the original Avengers. That was awesome.
Yeah,
There's a bunch of those.
He looked extra big.
Alanis Morissette just gave us $2 saying, "Isn't that ironic? Don't you think?"
I think it
that's
definitely
a
is.
nice
I'll
comment.
take that irony.
Okay. Anyway, CP, what were you saying? Sorry.
Nothing of merit. That's for certain.
So the big fight scene.
Yes.
I really enjoyed the Women of Marvel moment.
No, yeah,
You
we're
are the only one that I've heard say that.
yeah,
was cool.
I felt like
so
it was
cheesy.
so
I
on the
thought it
nose,
was
dude.
cool.
So
No,
seeing
it
the
was
wasp.
on-
They did it better and more subtly in the other movie.
Yeah. Well, I felt like that was a throwback to the other one.
No, this was a very on-the-nose reproduction of the other.
I liked it. I thought it was cool seeing all of them.
Oh, whatever.
Well, the sheer scale of this battle is pretty insane. I mean, it was essentially like comparing the Two Towers battle to the Return of the King battle. That's the best way I can describe it. They threw so much more money, all the characters, all the whatevers, and it was a little much for me at times. I felt like
Kind
it
of
dragged.
reminded me a little
you
bit
know?
of Ready Player One.
Right, yeah,
It felt
exactly.
Ready Player One-ish, yeah.
Yeah, totally was.
I didn't feel like the battle dragged. I honestly felt like it went by a little fast for my taste.
Well, the whole movie for
Yeah,
3 hours, a lot
but-
of people were like,
It
doesn't
didn't feel long.
like
It
3
felt like
hours.
2:15, I
Yeah.
thought. But so the gauntlet hot potato goes on, and Spider-Man's trying to help get it out of there, and jumps on Valkyrie's horse and stuff like that. So
That's cool.
it's pretty. It was a pretty cool scene.
each character has a cool little fight beat, which I thought. I mean, the one with Iron Spider and all of the arms
Instant
coming
kill.
out was super dope.
Yeah,
that
instant
was
kill.
cool.
Yeah, I mean,
And they gave a little more to Tessa Thompson in this movie than I was expecting they were going to. I
Yeah.
gotta make reference to that. So,
Return of the King versus Endgame battle, 17 years. Is that how long it's been since Return of the King came out?
I think so,
my
which is
God.
insane to think about.
Jesus.
But yeah, because the
2002?
Return,
Wow.
the Lord of the Rings started coming out when I was in high school, and god damn,
shit.
who feels old, nah?
That's good. Ooh,
I still,
crazy.
but you see, I still prefer the Two Tower to. You know,
I do too.
Return of
Return
the
of
King,
the
and I
King.
know a lot of people are going to say, okay, I don't know, maybe the comparison doesn't work as much after seeing it a second time, but some people are going to say Infinity War was like the Empire to this as the Jedi.
A lot of
and
people
so
have said
on.
that, yeah. I mean, I've heard that. Because it was an all is lost moment, you know, that ended it pretty much. So, so continuing on, I mean, Thanos gets his hands on the gauntlet again, and
When he starts raining down those missiles, that was a
that's
pretty
right. Oh yeah,
awe-inspiring
because
scene.
Scarlet Witch finally gets her hands on him, having been brought back after losing the Vision, and the Vision is gone for good.
Yeah, because he's not in this movie, and I was wondering if they were going to somehow write him in, factor in,
No.
whatever.
Anyone that died before Thanos in the last
they're-
movie
they're
is dead.
donezo.
I knew that was going to be the case. So
Oh, and she was pissed.
Yeah, and so she ends up starting to whoop Thanos' ass, and he has to basically hit the emergency button and tell...
Because she's pretty ridiculously powerful, too, right?
Oh, yeah,
She,
like I said last night, yeah, she took out all of mutant kind in the Marvel Universe for a number of years, down to 198 mutants. She just said, no more mutants. That's all she did. And it killed so many of them because there were flying mutants that were just turned human, and they just fell to Earth and fucking died, splatted and stuff like that.
Some interesting writing, I gotta say.
Oh my god, there was some
House
cool
of
stories
M?
that came
House
out of
of
it.
M
House
was
of M was
really
really
good.
interesting.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with any of these X-Men stories.
So anyway, she's whooping his ass, and he tells the lieutenant to rain fire, and the lieutenant's like, "But sire, our troops," you know, that kind of bullshit beat that we've seen it before. And he's like, "It doesn't matter." And so they bombard the battlefield with missiles from above in order to knock Scarlet Witch off her game, which it does.
Yet nobody dies there either with all that shit raining down.
And that's actually, I thought, was a pretty intense scene, especially with Spider-Man trying to avoid them and ultimately just wrapping himself around the gauntlet and just like balling up. I was like, Jesus Christ, that's intense. Same with Rocket. He just kind of balls up with teenage Groot for a minute, and like, I was like, okay, but yeah, no one actually died. Like, it's so weird that the body count for this movie is still only 2, and only 1 from this.
Well, I guess 2, yeah, because there's just one shown. Well, we'll get to it. The end, because that character didn't technically
he's
die.
still around.
Yeah,
so 2.
Well, I mean, there were the Japanese guys that Ronan killed.
Which one?
Ronan was straight up killing people.
No, body count of our heroes.
Oh, I thought you were talking about body count
body
entirely
count
in the
of heroes.
movie. I was like, I'm pretty sure
No,
a bunch
body
of
count that
Japanese...
anyone
There was
gives
at
a
least
shit
dozens on Thanos' side.
Yeah, I
too.
mean, God, Jesus, guys. I mean, you're like, what about Thanos' army? No, that's not what I'm fucking talking
That's
about.
typically the way it goes, where they're just killing all the stormtroopers and the red shirts and all that in these different films.
No, the
That's why
Japanese
Luis isn't
guys.
on that often.
But then we have like a Captain Marvel fight. with
Alana says
Thanos.
Peter Jackson ahead of his time, mastermind. I agree with that. I think he was a mastermind at those movies.
Well, stretching all the way back to even his gore, like history and
Dead
stuff like
Alive and
that.
stuff,
Yeah,
but,
Dead
yeah, let's not
Alive,
get off
Meet
too
the
deep
Feebles.
on the topic here.
Anyway.
That's a lot of those action beats there, and then Thanos is about to get his hands on the gauntlet finally, and when he does, he finally, is like, okay, here we go. He's like, I am inevitable. But just before he does that, Iron Man tries to latch onto him and stop him one last time. Oh, I guess we skipped over the Doctor Strange of it real quick. So at one point, Iron Man looks over at Doctor Strange and says, is that you saw 14 million possibilities? Is this the one? And he's just like, if I told you, it won't happen.
Yep.
And then later on, when Thanos is about to get everything back, Iron Man looks over at Doctor Strange and he holds up the number 1, which CP said it was like, this is the one. And I wasn't sure if he was just saying go for the gauntlet kind of thing, but it's probably definitely the number 1 thing.
Yeah, in hindsight. Yeah.
But yeah, so Iron Man goes for it, and he can't get the gauntlet off, and so Thanos says, I am inevitable, and he just snaps, and nothing happens.
Although before that, I have to say, I love the beat with the hammer, and with, like, Cap.
We didn't
yes.
talk about that.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
Cap being worthy of welding it, man, and everything. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, Thanos is
Wielding?
beating the
Well,
crap out of Thor, and then...
which they hinted at in
Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. So at one point, Thor is about to get wrecked, but Mjolnir flies, and instead of flying to Thor's hand, it flies past him and right into Captain America's hand.
It's gonna be Cap.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Gonna be Cap.
And then
the
Thor
people in
even
the
says,
audience
"I knew it,"
went
because
nuts.
he's the only one that saw the hammer move in Age of Ultron.
He's like, I knew it!
And so Cap actually uses it like Thor and twirls it around and just wrecks Thanos with like an uppercut with the hammer.
Pretty badass beat, man.
Yeah, and he summons the lightning with it. Like, not only can he wield Mjolnir, but he can actually wield the power of lightning and the gods of thunder and stuff like that. So that was pretty neat. But
Captain Marvel steps in at one point and tries to fight him, and he hits her, and she just stands and looks at Thanos. I thought that
he
was
headbutts her,
funny.
doesn't
Yeah,
he?
he
He headbutts her, and she just doesn't move at all.
Like unfazed. They really doubled down on just the extent of her power in this, I gotta say.
But I like that he just grabs the Power Stone and then gives her one punch
switches
and
it
wrecks her.
in the hand and punches her. That was pretty smart.
So I mean, CP, I know you gave a lot of your thoughts on yours last night, but just for our audience edification, do you have any particular things that stuck out to you that we've mentioned that you really liked in this scene?
No, I brought it up a couple times. The giant man, like I said,
yeah.
the scene where he's just raining down the missiles. It's an awe-inspiring scene. Even if it isn't any one thing in particular. Am I skipping?
No. You're good.
Oh, because I'm skipping on here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Let me see. No, you look okay on ours.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, you guys brought most of it up, and the just a couple of fanboy moments. Again, as somebody who wasn't truly invested in it, yeah, I was just enjoying the ride.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's quite a spectacle for sure.
Yeah, it really was. Now, where do you guys land on this versus Infinity War as an overall movie?
It's tough.
It's tough because I do like it. I think I would say I like Infinity Wars a little bit more than this.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
I think it was a bit more of a complete story.
Yeah.
And a little less all over the place.
Infinity War, Endgame.
Infinity War,
yeah. Mm-hmm. But I love Endgame because I just like how it, like you said, it ends it perfectly.
Well,
I had closure.
One of the things I said about the only thing that might have edged Endgame out for me, but I still don't think it does, is the fact that they actually went for the time travel, which is such a comic book trope that we haven't seen actually brought to screen yet.
Yeah,
and I love time
that
travel.
I was
well,
like,
not to the big screener.
That's what I mean. Yeah,
I mean, Flash.
Well, true, but not to the big screen.
Yeah.
So that's part of why I liked it. Fuego, you have a preference?
It's funny, when I left, I was initially thinking I still liked Infinity War better, but upon a second viewing and just the extent of how everything so cohesively comes together and just the payoff, this was genuine payoff. And I think Infinity War, while I love the Guardian and the Thor stuff and whatnot, I felt like there were characters, storylines underserved in that, like Captain America and the Wakanda stuff, for instance. And yet this one, I felt like all the different little core groups that they focused upon were all given adequate screen time, were all able to give very just dramatic and comedic performances when they needed to, like I think I said earlier in this. And so, I don't know, there's things about Infinity War that I like more, and then there's things about Endgame that I like more, but I guess I will double down on my statement from earlier that I think this is the greatest Marvel movie. So, yeah.
Hang on.
I'll come out.
That? Wait.
Problemas?
What happened?
I think he did get frozen now. Just a second. Let me add him back.
I told you. I told you.
Sorry, I'm used to you making the same face for a while.
Cold-blooded.
There we go. There you are. You're back.
There.
Hey.
You didn't say anything in that time anyway. Who gives a shit?
I didn't.
Okay, so
then we get to the big...
Yeah, the big final thing. So Iron Man tries to wrestle it away. Thanos tries to snap. Nothing happens. He looks over. He sees on the gauntlet that none of the gems are there. Looks over at Iron Man, and the nanobots are moving the gems up into place. And instead of I am inevitable, he just says I am Iron Man,
which was
snaps.
so much of a fist pumping moment.
It's a throwback to the first movie, obviously. I mean, and it's appropriate. Iron Man started this all, so Iron Man ends it all.
Yeah.
And so he snaps and thus takes out the entirety of Thanos' side.
Now, I was wondering
Except
if
for
Thanos
Gamora.
was going to disappear too, because it was a delayed thing with him. He didn't start disappearing until you saw all the rest
Yeah,
of
it's
the
very
crew.
selective, that snapping idea. He's probably just like, get rid of Thanos' army, but make him last. You know, like...
Give him just those few extra seconds to really think about his failure this time.
But it takes a massive toll, and it basically makes it so Tony doesn't even have any other dialogue. He can't even muster up any words.
Yeah,
he's practically catatonic, and Peter comes over to him, and he's like, Mr. Stark, we did it, you know, everyone's safe. And then Pepper comes over, and I thought that, they did
She's
this.
Like, we're gonna be okay.
Yeah, I thought that was the most realistic bit of dialogue almost in the whole movie, because everyone always does, you know, we love you, it's okay, you know, but she literally just said, we're gonna be okay. And that's really ultimately what someone like Tony would want to hear, you know, he's so worried about his loved ones. So I really liked that
very sweet moment.
that bit.
So during that bit, I cried like a little girl with a skinned knee and shit.
Both times?
Definite, both times.
Yeah.
I think I got even sadder the second time. Yes, the tears were flowing. I had to like take the 3D glasses off the first night and like wipe them because I couldn't see shit.
I teared up too.
I only
That's the
teared
only
up.
time
I
in the
teared up
movie I
a
cried.
tiny bit at that moment. I didn't tear up anywhere else. I thought I might.
Not
have,
even
yeah.
the end.
End?
No.
Oh man.
No. No,
Those are
I
the
was
two
just
bits,
like,
man.
I was like, that's nice, but
That's
I don't
me.
like Peggy that much.
There was
so.
a nerd girl right next to me, a pretty cute one too. She was legit sobbing
Really?
during those scenes, and during the dance at the end too. She was legit sobbing, and the funeral scene that we get. shortly thereafter.
Tony.
So yeah,
Snaps.
Tony goes out, and then we cut to a funeral.
Black Widow didn't get a funeral.
No, exactly. Black Widow didn't get a funeral. But
'Cause
literally,
they still had
like
the matter at hand.
all important characters from the past, all key characters are at the funeral, and they do this nice, slow, sweeping, steady cam shot of everyone, including
Everyone.
Nick Fury at the end, and
We get some Michelle Pfeiffer flavor. I mean, we get like pretty much everybody.
yeah, literally,
from-
yeah.
Yeah,
It's,
we saw Will William Hurt in the back.
Yep.
Yeah.
so yeah, everyone was there. It was really nice, and then. And we saw a little moment with Jon Favreau and
I was happy they
and the
put
daughter.
him in it.
Yeah.
And he had a
Well,
really sweet
Happy
scene with
Happy
her.
was a big character. He was, Happy Hogan is a big character in the comics too.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how it goes. And then basically they have to go and return all the stones to where they were. And so Cap's gonna do it, and he takes Mjolnir with him apparently.
Yeah.
And he goes back, and he's supposed to be back in 5 seconds, and they try and bring him back, and he's not there. And so they wonder for a second if things went wrong, because he's supposed to have as much time as he needs to get everything back.
Mm-hmm.
And then they look over, and a few feet away, sitting on a bench with their back to him, is a gentleman who some people were thinking that he was like the younger, smaller version again. And I'm like, oh no, he's an old man.
Yeah,
as soon as I
I
saw
knew.
him, I'm like,
Well,
oh, it's old man Cap.
I'll tell you
Oh.
what. The minute he got on and Sam was like, "Yo, I can come with you," and he's like, "No, it's okay," I knew right there. I'm like,
Do you think he'd already made his
He
decision?
did. I think he did,
yeah.
and I think it was in the moment in the '70s when he saw
Peggy, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I knew. Shit, Cap's going back. He's not.
He's like, oh, it's possible.
He's gonna do his job, put the stones back, but he's staying for Peggy.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's not gonna leave.
Now, so how does that presumably affect timeline stuff from him having never gotten frozen or any of that?
Well, there is a lot.
No, that's after he got frozen.
Yeah.
That was the 70s. He got frozen in the 40s during fighting.
Well, no,
Hitler,
because
or
I don't think he
Red
went
Skull.
back with her in the
but
'70s.
no,
went
he
back,
would go
I think
back
after,
to when he first met
I
her.
think it was after the war.
Yeah, it would have been after he got
after the war.
frozen.
Yeah.
So again, it wouldn't matter because it's not that body.
Former
It's not that
self-
version
okay,
of Cap.
so
There was a line someone.
You can't
I
do that.
know.
They
There-
said it's not Back to
there-
the Future
yeah,
rules.
There was a line.
That Cap is a different Cap.
What there was a line, if I'm gonna say it right, that Banner says it's like your past, your future can't be your past, and your past will become your future, and like vice versa, something like that.
How are you wearing a Rick and Morty shirt and you're not bringing up that it's the same? It's basically the same premise. They're different universes.
Yeah.
You keep.
So even going back in time, you're going to a separate despondent timeline.
No,
by
it's
even
not that
going-
Yeah.
you're going to still what your timeline was, but that's
Yeah.
going to spin off and do its own thing from that
Yeah.
point forward. It's not going to affect you because you've already lived all that. All that's already happened in
doesn't
your
that
So
mean-
it's
timeline.
essentially the opposite of what the ancient one said.
That's what I was gonna say. Wasn't that the point? The Ancient One didn't want.
Yeah, she
that-
didn't want timelines to splinter
splinter?
off by changing.
She
things
didn't
in
want
the ti-
them to splinter off in a dark version because they didn't have the stone to fight.
Oh,
If they didn't have the stone at that exact moment, then a dark version of the timeline would start. So that's why the stones
So these are
had to go
okay
back.
versions of the spun
Yeah,
off timelines
yes.
because the stones are
Except
back.
for the one when Thor... Oh, no, because Cap does return the Mjolnir. So, yeah,
Yeah.
they're all okay.
I actually love that scene with the.
Oh, thank God.
Plot hole averted. That's
Oh,
one.
man.
There you go.
That's
Well, I
one.
mean, since we didn't mention it earlier, I actually really liked that scene with the Ancient One, and I was surprised to see her. I thought that was a. Cool
I thought that
thing.
was really neat that they showed
Well, she
that
was-
a
she was
bunch
there
of them,
fighting.
that she was
Yeah.
fighting during that first Avengers
Yeah, I thought
battle,
that
even
was
though we
cool,
didn't
too.
actually see them at the time. I thought that was neat. So,
But yeah, I don't know. I teared up. I thought it was sad, and the fact that I picked up on the line the second time that I didn't the first viewing, where he's like, "Yeah, I thought I'd try out some of that life that Tony was telling me about."
Yeah.
And it's just like, damn.
yeah.
You went for it, and you see the ring, and you're just like, oh.
And
That
he
was
even
sad.
says,
That-
"Do you want to tell me who that, who that is, or tell me about her?" He's like, "No, I don't think so."
I'm gonna keep
Yeah.
it to myself.
I just like how it ended with them dancing and then.
Yeah,
it's
well,
like-
because it flashed back to post-war, and
Yeah.
they're getting their dance.
And again, does that mean that he was flirting with his own niece in Winter Soldier?
No, because I don't think that was his niece. Remember, the only thing that he did that was messed up.
It was
like,
Peggy's daughter.
Not her daughter. It was her.
Wasn't
It was her. Sharon Carter is not her daughter. It was her great niece or yeah.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah.
so it was a sister or something.
But not only that, but it's like
It wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't be that timeline anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway.
All Steve did that was messed up was like a guy who was once married to Peggy and had a whole family in life. Steve kind of maybe threw that off.
CP, did you have anything in particular about the ending that you wanted to say? I know we covered a lot in yours. But...
Yeah.
I mean,
no,
did it succeed? Did it have that emotional resonance for you, or?
Sure.
No.
I wasn't too caught up in anything, but it like I said, they landed the plane. That's all I needed to do was kind of wrap things up.
Yeah.
Did you or Emily tear up?
I got choked up when when Tony Stark first saw Spider-Man and they hugged.
Yeah.
That kind of got me going more than anything, believe it or not.
Because Tony was the one who hugged him.
Yeah.
His buddy's like, oh, this is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's true. That was a good one.
Yeah.
I choked up with Scarlet, with Black Widow. Because I'll tell you what, that was the one death I did not see coming. Like I
don't think anyone saw
knew
Black
either
Widow
Steve,
dying, especially since they've announced her movie.
Yeah, I knew
you know?
Steve or Tony were gonna die, and I thought one that would continue to live on, and I guess he did, but not in the way I expected it to be. And then with Black Widow, I was bummed out because I was like, man, like, because I know the Avengers are gonna not be anymore, but like if they do, who's gonna lead it? Who can possibly lead it? And I was like, dude, Black Widow, man.
I mean,
there's rumblings that Captain Marvel, that Brie Larson wants to direct an all-female Avengers led by Captain Marvel.
What?
And
Here's the thing,
and there will be no white men on the set.
I am not against an all-female Marvel movie, but I am against Brie Larson directing it.
Well, that's what
she
wants
just
to
directed a movie with Samuel L. Jackson.
She said it in an interview. Yeah, she said that she would
that
love
unicorn movie?
I haven't seen it, but I heard
it's got like a 3.5 on IMDb.
She directed it, so that says a lot. Then I guess she wrote it, directed it, and starred in it. That's like her pet project finally coming to fruition. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Let's get Dino on that for a review.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I think we'll go ahead and call that spoilers discussion there. If you want to see more, make sure you go and click on the spoiler discussion that CP ran last night. We talked about an awful lot of shit last night, or yesterday.
What was on it?
Was it just you and me, CP? Who else was there?
Yeah, we were supposed to have Luke, but he never showed up.
Yeah, via comments we did. But yeah, so we talked about it for like an hour and 45 minutes. So
dang.
There's tons more. Go ahead and go over to CP's channel and watch that if you want.
You exhausted all the points in the previous review.
Yeah. This is my third go round.
Yeah, because he just did stream about it too, and he's got his showbiz one to do on Monday.
This is Chris Bethel, as I say it.
If this is 5 years after Infinity War, why is Peter's friend still in high school?
Okay,
that was thing. That's
well, no, but
he got snapped too, is what I suspect.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Well, no. My thing is like when everyone came back. What year was it? Was it 2023? Are we in the future?
Technically, yeah, I think so.
But if you go to Spider-Man Homecoming, where all his friends snapped,
even if they're freshmen,
because
even if they're freshmen,
Ant-Man's
they
daughter
graduate.
grew age, but the people who were snapped never aged.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't think Hawkeye's family aged, so they're
not
the same with Peter.
Didn't.
So like that's
and also
we'll see. I mean, Spider-Man's the last one of Phase 3, so maybe they'll explain it.
Well, and also Ant-Man's daughter, she didn't revert back to an older age. I mean, all those people, all the time that passed for the people who were.
It actually passed. Yeah.
It's in place.
So. So all of Peter's friends all got snapped. Not one stayed. Not one person. The Flash is an adult now.
Apparently,
yeah, and that's
they all went back. They all have to go back to high school.
Where is it? So is Far From Home going to take place before Infinity War? Then maybe.
No, it's supposed to take place
it's
after.
taking place after.
Mm-hmm.
This is supposed to be the end.
Lucy, you got some explaining to do. I tell you.
That was the only my only little thing about the movie is like some of the time traveling stuff. I'm trying to wrap my head. I wonder if they purposely made it confusing.
Convoluted. It
so when when people ask these questions, they go like, "Remember, it's not like Terminator or Back to the Future.
Yeah,
it's its own rules."
Or Hot Tub Time Machine.
Just made right now.
Yeah, I can't believe they name-checked Hot Tub Time Machine.
That was funny.
That's
probably
and Die Hard. Don't forget Die Hard.
Yeah, Die
But
Hard.
no
Like,
butterfly.
Like, no, that one doesn't
reference?
fit.
I love the butterfly effect. Come on.
All right, well, we're going to call it there,
people.
you guys. Thanks very much for watching. Again, Fuego also did his non-spoiler review over on his channel if you want to see what his initial thoughts were, as well as mine. I'm the only one that went to the effort of making myself disappear into dust on my thumbnail, though, so make sure you do watch that, because that took me way longer than it should have. So. Shut up, CP. But anyway, thank you guys very much for watching. Until next time, I've been Cecil Laird.
Luis Hernandez.
Gracias up and Jaime and Fuego.
Oh, and I'm CP.
Yes. And remember, Stay
Stay
scared.
Movies!
3-hour runtimes.
Go follow Wiliscredia.